Hey there, fellow wanderers. As you stand before the looming castle gates, the sky above hangs heavy and grey, melting effortlessly into ancient towers of stone. A crisp chill bites at your cheeks. The air smells of damp earth and curling wood smoke, tinged with the unmistakable musk of livestock. It's as if the past breathes softly here, whispering secrets just beyond the threshold. This is no fairy tale. This is a place shaped by clashing steel, whispered intrigues, and the weight of generations that passed through before you. The world hums around you, the steady clang of a blacksmith's hammer, the murmur of traders at market stalls, the sharp caw of a crow punctuating the din of everyday life. And as you step beneath the arched gateway built to awe, to intimidate, to remind you of your place, you walk on cobblestones worn smooth by centuries of feet. So, before we go further into the Great Hall of History, I ask only this. If this kind of raw, unvarnished truth speaks to you, click like, hit subscribe, and leave a trace of yourself in the comments. Tell me your city, your time, your state of mind. Now, dim the lights. Let the hum of your fan blend with the wind of centuries past. Let's begin. And remember, in medieval times, even survival was a luxury. As the first light of dawn breaks through the cracks in wooden shutters, you watch as life begins to stir. A creaky wooden door swings open, and a local peasant family steps out into the dim morning, faces weary from a restless night amidst the comforting but poor insulation of their home. Their clothes, simple and rough-spun, are a patchwork of colours worn and faded by time and labour. The calloused hands of the family's elder signal the start of the day tasks must be completed before hunger sets in and the fields beckon. Your senses take in the simplistic, yet profound routine that kicks off every morning here. Each family member has roles to play, their contributions woven together to ensure their immediate existence. Mornings begin with the gathering of essential resources, water from a nearby stream, kindling for the hearth which set the stage for breakfast preparations. However, this is no banquet table laden with choicino. The reality is modest, dictated by the labours of yesterday and the uncertainties of tomorrow. The scent of freshly baked bread dark, heavy, a deep, earthy aroma fills the air, permeating the atmosphere with the singular comfort of rye. You watch as a loaf of black bread is brought inside, a staple offering familiar comfort in its coarseness. The making of this basic sustenance is a daily ritual and an embodiment of life's constraints, an enterprisey blend of harvested rye from the field, ground at a local mill, and transformed into a substance shared universally across household tables. The medieval era depicted here is far from the romanticized images often painted by lore. The meals themselves are a testament to survival, a combination of necessity, invention, and the limited resources intrinsic to peasant life. As the day slowly unfolds, you understand that each piece of food, each ingredient, speaks not of abundance, but rather thrifty conservation and resourceful ingenuity. Meals are contemplative affairs, without the extravagance of opulent spices or exotic flavors enjoyed by society's higher echelons. Instead, they are intimately tied to the rhythms of agrarian life, changing with seasons, with harvests, and with the whims of weather. In these early hours, you begin to see, with a hint of irony, that such simplicity is not merely a lack of complexity, but also a refuge from want. Remember that crocodile dung sunscreen? You chuckle as you realize some novelties transcend time but are mercifully left behind. Here, the clear utility of things takes precedence, for in their frugal inventiveness lies resilience. With the breakfast table set, the family calls in young children from their morning chores. The warm porridge, simmering slowly over the hearth, promises a comforting warmth against the morning chill. As you delve into this narrative, perhaps historians would chime in to debate the exact proportion of grains such as oats, barley, or millet used in each serving point of contention, perhaps, but indicative of the resourcefulness required. As these early meditations on the simplest of tastes continue, let them draw you deeper into the flow of time, allowing your mind to free itself with each telling gust of wind, each nodding half-consideration of these humble repasts. You're ready to delve deeper, and soon you will, but for now, savor the first bite of our journey amidst the humble peasantry. The village awakens more fully now as you meander down dirt paths that wind through this medieval settlement, feeling the uneven ground beneath you and the cool breeze against your skin. You pause to observe the rhythm of daily life, where the diet of the peasantry is woven into the fabric of existence, a modest tapestry focused primarily on one essential concept: sustenance. What did the peasants eat? If you can imagine a world where bagels need not apply, you'll find your answers in the commonplace cereals and grains that formed the backbone of medieval nourishment. The staples of the peasant diet, grains like rye, barley, and oatshint, at a rhythm not just of food but of life itself. Rye bread, its unmistakable hearty flavor, a constant companion of nearly every meal, dominates the menu. Picture a dense, dark loaf baking in an oven's smoldering warmth, its crust crackling and its aroma teasing the senses. This peasant staple is reliable and nourishing, holding a critical role in both diet and culture. The sturdy bread is both sustenance and symbol, as vital to medieval life as the very air they breathe. As you venture further through the village, smoke wafts from a chimney, signaling the start of a morning meal. You peek inside a tiny kitchen hearth, is the room's heart, its crackling fire at work on a bubbling cauldron of porridge. Yes, porridge. That simple, warming blend of whatever grains happen to be most plentiful at the time. Barley and oats mingle in harmony, thickened with water or milk if fortune permits, offering the peasants fortitude against the chilling bite of an unforgiving climate. Today's porridge is hearty, stick to your ribs fare that even Goldilocks would be hard-pressed to turn down. This marriage of grains not only fills the belly, but does so with the promise of energy required for a day's toil in the fields. Historians still argue whether the consistency should be more soup-like or near solid, but here, both approaches represent the creativity and adaptability of the cooks tending the hearth. The simple grains you see aren't simply ingredients, they're reflections of months of labor under the open sky. In fields that lie beyond the village's crude fence, these grains grow under watchful eyes, their harvest the critical point in a cycle of life dictated by the seasons. Imagine toiling under the sun, muscles straining as scythes swing, gathering the golden bounty of summer, all for the winter to come. Then imagine stepping back inside the cabin, freezing winds held at bay, to be greeted by the earthy warmth of grain-based sustenance. It's hardly a culinary triumph by modern gourmet standards, but it's a balm for the ache in your bones. Every taste, every mouthful represents unfailing thrift and ingenuity. Leftover bread, for instance, finds its second wind in the form of a sop broth, perhaps with a hint of flavor from a prized chunk of savory meat bones tossed in, fills bowls and empty bellies alike. The repetition of meals is no symbol of lack but testament to survival's simplicity. Your only seasoning might be a whisper of salt, and where the fish swim near, some small salted morsels could occasionally stretch even the plainest porridge into a sumptuous feast. You continue your morning stroll past muddy gardens, catching glimpses of carved wooden bins where grains are stored. These rough-hewn structures speak of resourcefulness and the foresight to harvest enough to see through the long, cold months when the world outside turns white and hushed. It's no wonder, as you walk, to overhear conversation of crop yields and the precise moment when barley fields should be sown. Here, in medieval peasant life, the routine isn't choreographed by luxury, but rather by stark, heartfelt necessity. Even the smallest measure sources strength from an indifferent earther reminder that the real magic isn't in the exotic, but in fulfillment born of survival. It's humbling yet heartwarming, this rhythm that turns basic sustenance into ritual. Perhaps the gentle sarcasm of a YouTube host would whisper about modern life's contrast, where abundance sometimes leads to waste, a far cry from the rustic pragmatism on display here. As you settle into the cadence of village life, you'll find your senses drawn eagerly toward the textures and tastes, leading you further into this compelling world where every meal is a humble victory over scarcity. So take another deep breath, let the earthy scents envelop you, and continue through this journey, bread in hand and anticipation in the heart. You wander through the village, where the significance of bread becomes increasingly apparent. Ah, bread, that staple, which offers not only physical sustenance, but also a textured slice of cultural history. As you navigate the cobblestone streets, You can't help but notice the hum of conversation floating from open doors. The words are muffled, mingling with the ever-present sounds of animals, but you catch fragments about the latest batch of bread, fresh from the communal ovens. These medieval ovens, shielded by stone and filled with crackling kindling, are the beating heart of village life. Bread is more than food. It's a testament to community and endurance. You can almost hear the soft thud of dough being kneaded, the rhythmic way it is pummeled and folded by hands hardened over years of tireless labor. As each loaf takes shape, it carries with it stories of harvests past and hopes for future abundance. Walking closer, the earthy, slightly sweet scent of baking bread wafts toward you on a breeze. Rye, the grain of the poor but indispensable peasant's ally, is the main ingredient. The humble loaf is dark and dense, its cracks revealing secrets of lives that revolve around its presence. A provision once considered plain and ordinary is now understood as an emblem of survival and identity, a living connection to the land and all its toils. Standing here, you appreciate bread's unwavering prominence at every meal, its role so crucial that absence could spell an end to resilience. Imagine the whispering of historians as they discuss whether this basic component of the diet was seasoned by seeds or left plain. Either way, its role in shaping daily existence is indisputable. Bread was often broken, quite literally, at shared tables, drawing neighbors together in a ritual of communal bonding. The villagers approach each mealtime with a reverence that shifts gradually, to whispered jokes perhaps about the ubiquity of rye or the occasional liberties taken with the limited yeast available. A warmery sarcasm fills the air, tempered by gratitude for the bounty before them. Simple as it may be, the bread basket, plain but functional, occupies its place on every table, a symbol of sustenance and solidarity. Each peasant family has their own method, passed down through generations, differing slightly in shape or density, but not in purpose. Each loaf is an iteration of its predecessors, an unbroken line stretching back through time. The grind of the millstone, the weight of the flour sacket all adds up to this moment, crusty, satisfying, and as enduring as the very people who crafted it. As you linger at the village centre, a few villagers crowd at counters crowded by slabs of the aforementioned bread and perhaps some modest cheese, or, if the circumstances are especially fortunate, a savoury side of stew. These scenes are punctuated by laughter and shared warmth, even when leavened by the hardships of the day. Bread becomes the glue of daily life, the tie that binds their humanity in contrast to the cold, unyielding world. You pause as you watch them share a bit of quick banter, the presence of modest humour shining through the cracks of routine. Bread balances the villagers' table as they prepare to fortify themselves for the day's labours. There's comfort in the repetitive nature I transformed, a daily constant, a reminder that simpler times are often the most poignant. Perhaps now your own mind drifts, drawing parallels between this grain-dependent subsistence and modern gluten-free trenza, the quirky evolution into gluten-free cupcakes. But for these villagers, the act of breaking bread is entirely serious, a rite as essential as it is abiding. It's this humble staple that carries them through life's ups and downs, sometimes shared with a bit of a jest or a friendly complaint about how the village elder's bread requires a strong jaw to chew. As you savour this return to the table, where bread is a steadfast companion amid shared tales and simple joys, you find yourself immersed further. The bread isn't just sustenance. It's a lifeline extending through weathered hands, shared stories, and generations. Here, history is alive, in every crusty bite. As your journey through this medieval village continues, the bustling sounds of the marketplace begin to reach your ears, a symphony of chatter and barter, forming the backdrop to the next chapter of your exploration into the peasant diet. You find yourself drawn toward the lively gathering, where stalls spill over with the humble offerings of the season. The heart of the village beats strongly here, a tapestry of colors and textures dominated by the simple, universal presence of grains. Your eye catches the familiar sight of porridge, ladled generously into bowls, its steam curling upward like the gentle tendrils of morning mist. Porridge, your newfound culinary companioness, more than mere sustenance. It's a reflection of the seasons and a telling testament to ingenuity in the face of scarcity. As you get closer, The aroma of cooked oats mingled with an occasional hint of barley fills the air, an olfactory homage to the labor and lands that yield such bounty. In the corner of the market, clusters of villagers gather around bubbling pots, their comforting wares serving as both meal and meeting place. The communal preparation of porridge brings people together, each spoonful shared a continuation of a legacy that nourishes and unites. This daily ritual transcends the mere act of eating, offering a hearty start laced with the warmth of company and camaraderie. A quick conversation with a nearby cook reveals the secret to the porridge's appeal. Simplicity. Just a few grains, she says with a sly smile, but they stick to your ribs. You chuckle, noting how this age-old wisdom reflects modern oatmeal sales pitches. Here, oats are the star, bringing with them their own kind of simplicity, a dependable source of energy in the fields and beyond. The variations of this cherished dish are as plentiful as the villagers themselves. When the harvest is bountiful, oats and barley are enhanced with water or milk, chosen for their unique textures and flavors. On rare occasions, a dash of honey or a sprinkle of nuts from the neighboring woods might sweeten the simplicity, whispering luxury to otherwise humble meals. Tell me you've never fallen for a porridge ad promising alert mornings these villagers knew long ago. Yet not all adhere to the same recipe. Delightful debate leavens the village airways. Historians still argue whether the porridge should be as thick as a bread dough or as thin as broth, each version tailored to the household's means and needs at the time. Still, regardless of consistency, it's a constant in the tapestry of their lives. As you meander through this tableau of tradition, reminders of community and self-sufficiency ring clear. The cloying scent of porridge reminds you that while it might travel reluctantly from the pot to spoon, it's a precious, lovingly prepared staple, standing proudly beside the hardened loaves back home. An old man offers you a bowl, his leathery hands steady as they extend the gift. You accept, reveling in the blend of warmth against the morning chill and chuckling inwardly as he advises, "Best eaten warm, though it's even better when you're colder." In these few moments, the echoes of simplicity connect the past to the present, each bowl witnessed by ancestors who bore the same sentiments. No truffle oils or sea salt caramel needed here, thank you very much. What's old is always new in some context. Your inner monologue regains the intrigue in its simplest forms. For here, amidst the conversations and laughter that circle around meals such as this, is not only the realization of survival, but also the joy of routine, enough to feed the soul as much as the body. With the bowl finally empty, the last vestige of warmth now dissipated into your palms, this day of discovery continues onward, beneath an expansive sky that mirrors the possibilities and rhythms of lives, led not by fortune but by resilience. Embrace well this glimpse, and carry it with you the beauty of textures both present and historical, as sure as the grain beneath your skin, and as steadfast as the villagers who labor daily to turn earth into sustenance. You turn away from the market, leaving behind the echoes of chattering villagers and the earthy aroma of porridge. Your path now winds toward the outskirts of the village, where the fragility of wooden fences demarcates tiny, yet lovingly tended gardens. Here, amidst plots filled with potential, the next layer of the medieval peasant diet is laid bare: vegetables. The cultivation of vegetables in these modest plots is a labor of love and necessity, each planting a commitment to future sustenance. The gardens are awash with hues of green, orange, and purple, the colors vibrant against the backdrop of weathered stone walls and tilled earth. These gardens tell stories, etch a living diary of each family's quest for nourishment that dances with the rhythms of the sun and rain. As you pause along the garden path, the cool, damp earth beneath your feet, a gardener nearby rakes at the soil with steady diligence, tending to rows of leafy greens that reach toward the sun with eager intent. The freshness is palpable, the air brimming with the sweet fragrance of upcoming harvest, intertwining scents of carrots, turnips, and cabbages, forming the heart of an impromptu bouquet. Watch closely as gnarled hands pull at tufts of green, revealing the robust hues of carrots below a staple in medieval peasant life. These hardy root vegetables are valued for their taste and their capacity to endure through unforgiving seasons. Who needs store-bought crunchy granola when these gardens produce fibers known not just for health, but for mere existence? Their color-rich appeal aside, these carrots provide essential nourishment, their sweetness often balanced by the subtle bitterness noted in some varieties. Beside them, rows of cabbages hold sway, their tightly packed leaves like nature's own gift wrap, ready to conserve life's nutrients for those willing to toil long enough to uncover them. Though incapable of telling you which is their healthiest shade, the peasants would likely swear on its plentiful uses. From soups to stews, cabbages are a culinary chameleon, filling bowls with their comforting warmth and offering sustenance through long winter nights. Here and there, modest patches of turnips peek through the loamy ground. Though not as glamorous as other vegetables, certainly less romanticized on glossy magazine covers, these turnips carry their own story. They're easy to grow, resilient, and a staple for the peasants who cherish their adaptability. Steaming or roasting them alongside half-baked meals transforms these knobbly treasures into an indispensable ally against hunger. The whisper of garden lore echoes from generations past, about planting practices and the keeping of soil secrets a modest alchemy. Historical debates still sprinkle the conversation. Uncertainty surrounds which strains were dominant and cultivated during harsh seasons or abundant ones. The peasants call upon ancient wisdom, their shared knowledge an unbroken chain from soil to supper. With appropriate doses of situational humor, your inner commentator might arise to remind you of modern packaged veggies branded gloriously by vitamin enrichment. Yet, the peasants knew their trade well, these natural gradients already bearing essential nutrients and flavors, willingly traded over coins or quips. The gardener looks up, catching your eye with a knowing smile, offering a brief nod in recognition of the miracle unfoldings beneath his fingers. They grow only because they belong to the land, he confides. Each harvest is seen as a triumph of will against the elements, an act of declaration that they, too, are entitled to reap what the earth provides. Standing amidst these verdant wonders, you trace your fingers along the delicate patterns of a fresh leaf, feeling the gentle resistance that speaks of health and vitality. These plots may be modest, but their reminder is profound. They endow their caretakers with patience and reward, their benefits transcending the physical to nourish body and spirit alike. A light breeze stirs, bringing with it a touch of cool freshness, a perfect companion to engage in your continuing journey. You move on, drawing this garden's essence with you, aware that each step through this time-twined village echoes the embrace of those weathered vegetables secured in kitchens of yore. Fit them now alongside grain and porridge, a trinity in service of sustenance. You step forward, allowing yourself the quiet luxury of pondering what other bounties might lie just beyond the next row, for tomorrow and time's unfolding tapestry. Leaving the cultivated gardens behind, you venture into the lush periphery of the village, where the untamed wilderness stretches out like an enticing mystery. It is here, in the shadows of towering trees, that the peasants find nature's hidden bounty, a smorgasbord of foraged foods that supplement their diets and impart a touch of the wild to their meals. The forest is alive with possibility, a treasure trove waiting to be discovered by those with the patience and knowledge to seek it. As you step into this verdant world, the canopy above filters sunlight into a mosaic that dances on the forest floor. The cool, earthy scent envelopes you, mingling with the sharp tang of pine needles and the rich aroma of damp moss. The sound of rustling leaves and distant birdsong provides the soundtrack to your exploration, weaving together a symphony that's been playing for centuries. Here, among the whispering trees, the simple act of foraging turns the mundane task of gathering food into an adventure. The peasants, with their keen eyes and deep understanding of the forest's secrets, collect an array of wild edibles that add diversity to their meals. Nuts, berries, and mushrooms nature's gifts are gathered in woven baskets, each offering its own distinct flavor and nutritional value. Watch as the villagers move deftly through the underbrush, a hunter-gatherer dance that harkens back to ancient times. In the early autumn mornings, you witness children with stained fingers, evidence of berry picking. The vibrant reds of raspberries and the deep blues of blackberries are enough to make your mouth water. Their sweet tart flavors, a refreshing contrast to the more savory staples of bread and porridge. These berries, ephemeral in their seasonal presence, brighten even the simplest of meals and serve as modest treats for the hard-working peasant. Further into the woods, the peasant's attention turns to the nuts strewn beneath ancient oaks and chestnuts. Imagine the thrill of discovering such a trovia jackpot of natural bounty in its rawest form. The act of cracking open these hard-shelled prizes is more than a way to pass the time. It's an exercise in patience and anticipation, rewarded by the rich, creamy flavors within. Hazelnuts and walnuts add substance and satiety to the diet. Their oil's a rare luxury that complements the simpler fare. And then there are mushrooms, the mystical fungi that thrive in the damp darkness, hidden jewels waiting to be unearthed. Not all mushrooms are safe, a fact that prompts whispers of caution among the villagers. Here lies a scholarly debate among modern mycologists regarding how effectively medieval peasants distinguished between edible and poisonous varieties. Trial and error? Intuition? Shared wisdom passed from elder to youth? Regardless, each discover each, chanterelle or porcini adds depth and earthiness to otherwise milder tastes. Foraging is a skill and a necessity born of both need and curiosity. You note the gentle sarcasm of a world without supermarkets, as each villager maps familiar trails in their minds, evolving in their roles as caretakers of knowledge. Stories often arise from these ventures into the woods, tales of danger and friendship woven into the very fabric of their identity. The forest itself seems to embrace you as you wander, a gentle reminder of both the bounty it holds and the capriciousness of its seasons. Each item found is a testament to resilience and adaptability, a whispered promise from the earth that she will continue to provide if treated with respect. There's a certain magic in this exchange. Nature is unpredictable, yet it offers rewards to those who approach with humility. Returning to the village, baskets full of nature's gifts, you find a deeper appreciation for the peasant's resourcefulness, the ingenuity required to shepherd every morsel and every moment into something greater than the sum of its parts. Each step of the way, you reconnect with the synergy of survival, enriched by their stories and imbued with their enduring spirit. As the day's light fades, casting shadows that dance with fireside warmth, you reflect on the gifts of the forest, that vibrant vein lying just beyond the confines of cultivated land, and marvel at the historical dance of giving and receiving within these fertile walls. And with that, you walk toward the horizon of your next discovery, the forest's bounty tucked snugly among the simple abundance that fills both basket and heart alike. As your stroll through the village persists under dappled sunlight and amidst the chatter of daily life, your senses lead you toward the small cluster of dairies, a testament to the medieval peasant's ability to eke out sustenance from sheer necessity. It is here, in the humble realms of hillside pastures and snug barns, that you discover Dareth's secret nutrient boost in the peasant diet. The gentle moos of cows provide a comforting soundtrack as you approach. Watch the villagers, their movements practiced and purposeful as they tend to their animals. The cows, with their calm demeanor, are not just creatures of the field, but pivotal contributors to the diet of those who rely on them. Milk is more than a simple drink. It is a versatile ingredient, a luxury born of labor and care. Daily life here includes the gentle art of milking, performed with a rhythm as calming as a lullaby. In the morning's first light, or the dusk's gentle caress, hands skilled in coaxing and collection produce the day's yield from patient cows. This liquid gold, rich in potential, forms the base of a variety of foods tailored to fill both larders and bellies. From sweet, fresh milk flows the art of transformation, where simple offerings become indulgent luxuries. Milk left to clabber on warm pantry shelves emerges as a crucial player in cooking, enhancing soups and extending stews, its rich flavors gracing every meal course. Butter, with its creamy smoothness, brings rare decadence to otherwise rustic fare, each smear on bread a reminder of the dairy's hidden treasures. As you wander among the tasks at hand, you see the timeless craft of cheesemaking unfolding before you. Creamy curds and tangy cheeses are pressed into shape, a tactile journey from cow to table. The peasants may joke about the aroma that accompanies this practice, the scent of satisfaction. They might quip us. The fermentation process brings complicated sensations to noses unaccustomed to pungency. Cheese, the culmination of a day's or week's work, is traded or stored, cherished for the richness it introduces into the peasant palate. Here, every wheel is akin to currency, exchanged with neighboring villages or saved for times of want. Scholars remain divided on the myriad methods of cheese production and the variations that have persisted through time. Its travels through Europe are a testament to ingenuity and an early chapter in globalization. There's a quaint irony in this appreciation of dairy, given modern admonishments against excess. Yet here, in this simple world, the caloric boost of cheese and butter is nothing short of a blessing. Comfort yourself with the gentle sarcasm of how today's culinary experts wish for the simplicity of a life sustained by basic cheeses and rustic butters. Peasant children gather small portions each day, cups of milk or pats of butter added to the family table, a tenet of communal and familial labor. As the cows graze peaceably outside, these youngest villagers play their part, fetching and ferrying nature's bounty with a sense of pride and duty. In these moments of dairy splendor, you appreciate the profound connection between once and now, where each mouthful brings sustenance and stability. Here, watchfulness and reverence bind animals and caretakers, a partnership enshrined by necessity but cherished by choice and enduring dance as old as civilization itself. With the grown and golden light of afternoon wrapping its warmth around the village, you drift on, leaving the dairy behind, gathering its gentle gifts into the wealth of knowledge that leads you forward. The dance of bewilderment and reverence continues while you move toward the intricacies of a world defined by survival, creativity, and the sheer will to live, even in the face of simplicity. Such is the legacy of this bounded land, and tomorrow will hold yet another glimpse into the life of those whose diet tells a story that feeds so intrinsically. As the sun begins its slow descent, casting long shadows over the medieval village, your senses guide you toward one of the more elusive components of the peasant diet: meat. Amidst the modest simplicity of cereal grains and vegetable gardens, meat stands as a rare and treasured treat, reserved for special occasions and moments of communal celebration. The aroma of roasting meat, when it does appear, is a whisper of luxury, a tantalizing glimpse of something beyond the everyday. You wander past the rows of cottages, the distant bleating of sheep, a reminder of the livestock that play a crucial role in this tightly woven community. Sheep, chickens, pigs, each animal is a valuable asset, not only for the occasional meal, but for the sustenance they provide year-round. Wool, eggs, and manure are critical resources, and animals are meticulously managed with an eye towards sustainability. In this world, the consumption of meat is rare, often dictated by the cycle of life on the farm. A butcher's work is thorough and deliberate, ensuring nothing goes to waste. Preparation requires careful attention. Decisions about when an animal might be culled are made based on need, not want. This careful stewardship means that when meat does appear, it is savored with an appreciation that transcends taste. In the distance, smoke rises gently from a chimney, carrying with it the earthy scent of roasting meat. Today, a family is celebrating a successful harvest. You approach quietly, observing as villagers gather around a communal fire. A modest feast is underway. The centerpiece, a joint of roast pork, its skin crackling over the flames, brought forth for this joyous occasion. You catch snippets of conversation carried on the wind, laughter punctuating the clinking of wooden cups. The roasting process itself is an art, one typically reserved for the more experienced hands in the village. Spices and herbs from the garden savory, thyme, perhaps a touch of garlic make their way into the marinade, weaving a tapestry of subtle flavors that enhance the natural richness of the meat. As the roast turns slowly over the fire, golden and glistening, you realize that it's not just mere sustenance, but a celebration in itself. With the carved slices of meat now shared among the gathered friends and neighbors, you note the silent homage paid to this moment of abundance. There's a reverence in their eyes, a gratitude that transcends modern indulgence for its own sake. This meal, rare as it is robust, brings the community together, threading bonds through shared satisfaction and nourishment. The children, too, part of this jubilant gathering, savor their small portions with delight that lights up their young faces. These are the moments they'll recall in future times of scarcity, reminders of abundance that sing sweetly against memories of want. Among these festivities, the quirkiness of medieval choices jerks your mind back to contrariwise modern trendsmock meats. Vegan pork? One wonders what the ancestors might make of such transformations. As you watch, Entranced by the flickering flames, a whispered tale floats across the circle. It's a story of a long-past feast, where a wild boar, once caught in the king's forest, marked a year of plenty and privilege. Such stories are woven into the tapestry of village lore, colouring perceptions of meat as a status symbol and not just a dietary addition. History plays a subtle trick here, as historians debate the extent to which peasants could actually access wild game, often hedging between theory and folklore in their attempts to reconstruct reality. But for now, all jesting aside, you find yourself immersed in an earthy kind of magic, where the rarity of meat imbues the feast with layers of meaning. It's a gentle reminder of the balancing act of sustenance that defines the medieval peasant lifestyle, a reflection of abundance that comes not just from the earth, but from the hearts of those who share its bounty. With the flames of the fire offering warmth against the encroaching evening chill, you leave the festivities behind, tracing your steps through a landscape where tradition and sustenance are inseparably intertwined. Each savory bite from tonight's celebration adds a page to the unwritten history of this place, one where meat carries the weight of a truly cherished treasure. And so, propelled by the lingering taste of the feast, you move on to the next chapter in this vivid journey through time. As the echoes of the village celebration fade into the stillness of twilight, your steps guide you down a narrow path that meanders toward the coast, where the rhythm of another life takes shape along the shore. It is here, amidst the rising and falling tides, that you discover the integral role of fish and coastal resources in the medieval peasant dieta bounty from the depths that sustains villages nestled by the sea. The air carries a satisfying tang of salt, invigorating and fresh as you draw closer to the water's edge. Waves lap gently at the rocky shore, and seagulls cry their shrill song overhead, their calls mingling with the whistles of the wind. You can almost taste the sea on the breeze, a prelude to the abundance that lies beneath the ocean's surface. Along the coastline, the villagers engage in a time-honored dance with the sea, casting nets into the depths with practiced precision. The waters teem with life, a generous repository of fish and shellfish that supplement their terrestrial fare. For those who live near, the sea is as essential as the land, offering sustenance that is both plentiful and varied. It provides not only fish, but also mussels, clams, and the occasional crab or lobster, treasures to be shared at family tables against the backdrop of the evening tide. Fishermen, their skin weathered and bronzed by salt and sun, haul heavy nets toward the shore, their catch wriggling against the confines of woven mesh. The docking area is alive with activity as women and children gather to help with the day's haul, sorting fish by size and species, each family taking its share. The sea has long been a provider, ensuring that no one goes hungry even when the land is unwilling to yield. As you watch this orchestrated ballet between man and sea, you hear tales of remarkable hauls and of barren days when the ocean was less generous. Historians still argue whether coastal communities enjoyed a consistent bounty or faced the harsh unpredictability of nature's whims. Yet it is clear that the sea, with its fickle benevolence, has shaped their lives as surely as the tide shapes the sand. Listen closely, and you can hear the gradual sizzle as fish are laid upon flat stones at the shoreline's edge, roasting over rudimentary fires built with driftwood. This transforming actor fish into food is a harmony of sizzling sounds and wafting aromas, blanketing the crisp evening air with a scent that speaks of nourishment. Flavorful herbs and wild sea salts, collected from tidal pools, enhance the taste, turning simple fare into a coastal delicacy. For those who dwell away from the sea, preserved fish dried, salted, or smoked becomes a valued commodity in village trade. The preservation itself is an art, representing the medieval understanding of necessity versus perishability. Picture, if you will, those salty sweet bento box snacks of sushi fame, and smile to think of their smoky medieval ancestors. With the sun dipping below the horizon, painting the water in hues of rose and gold, you recognize another layer of connection between these people and their sustenance. The sea bestows upon them not just nourishment, but a way of life, infusing songs and stories with its unmistakable motif. Some villages commemorate their dependency with rituals of oaths to the sea, and songs sung with gratitude for the tide's generosity. As twilight deepens, you find yourself bidding farewell to the coast, grateful for this part of the journey where sustenance and the rhythms of nature entwine. Each fish caught, every net cast, is a chapter of productivity written in the currents of time. Your journey continues, leaving behind the rhythm of rolling waves but carrying forward the imprint of salty air and the knowledge of a life where the sea dances in partnership with the land, sustaining livelihoods and preserving legacies within its ever-changing embrace. And so, you step back towards the village, your path accompanied by the whisper of one world's bounty, seeking the next layer in a peasant life woven from necessity, ingenuity, and shared bonds. Stepping away from the echoes of the sea, you find yourself drawn back toward the warmth of the village, where very different aromas fill the air. Those of the spices and preservation methods that have been quietly revolutionizing the peasant diet. The scent of herbs mingles with that of smoked meats and pickled vegetables, creating a sensory tapestry that underscores a crucial theme: the ingenious ways in which medieval peasants brought variety and safety to their food storage. The aromas lead you to a modest kitchen, a hub of activity and innovation. Here, amidst rough-hewn countertops and the steady flicker of firelight, you discover the secrets of flavor and preservation. The spices on hand are not the exotic treasures of distant lands, but rather the humble bounty of local fields and forests: parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. These familiar herbs find their way into every dish, enhancing taste and preserving freshness. Nearby you find barrels filled with brine, the salty fragrance a testament to the age-old practice of pickling. Cucumbers, onions, and even fish undergo this transformation, a method that not only preserves the produce, but infuses it with a tangy zest. Pickling is a necessity, a clever response to the cycles of abundance and scarcity that dictate peasant life. In this world, it is not just a flavor profile, but a survival strategy, one practiced with meticulous care. Smoke curls upward from a nearby smokehouse, its tendrils a reminder of another preservation method, key to sustaining prosperous times through lean seasons. Smoking meat spork, fish, and even fowl confers longevity upon these precious resources, infusing them with rich, deep flavors that double as sustenance and indulgence. The process of smoking is a communal effort, where villagers share both labor and stories over the smoky hearth, their laughter mingling with the tang of curing meat. A well-known spice workshop humorously plies peppercorns, gifted from long-forgotten trade caravans, asserting themselves into local lore as great prizes rather than culinary essentials. This coveted rarity is portioned with care, a symbol of prestige even within such modest communities. To sprinkle a pinch into a stew is to invite the tastes of the world beyond, a reminder of their place in a larger story of trade and travel. As you listen to the stories of these preservation practices, another unfolds about which historians still debate: the timing and influence of international spice routes, and how local villagers first encountered temptations reserved for the affluent. The peasants embrace their own methods, weaving flavors into meals with an inventiveness that staves off monotony and extends lifespans against winter's chill. The villager explains his smoking process with a humor not lost on you. Smoke, the cheapest perfume. Indeed, this subtle jest holds a kernel of truth, for in this rural life, resourcefulness is its own kind of elegance. Beyond the kitchen's threshold, you observe women gathering herbs from clustered gardens, their movements a dance of practicality and tradition. Bundles of dried goods hang against wooden beams, each tied with care, a practice passed through generations. The contrast between pungent garlic and sweet dill speaks to culinary diversity, all within reach, each securing hungrily unique spots in their cornucopia of flavor. The wisdom of preservation is not confined to any one village. Even now, walking down cobblestone paths as the sky begins to darken, you realize that flavors transcend borders, whispering stories to future generations through the medium of taste. And so this savory exploration draws to a close. As your journey continues, strengthened by the comforting knowledge that the peasant diet, though simple at its core, is tempered by creativity, a testament to ingenuity, and the will to transform necessity into nuanced artistry. Each taste, each scent, is evidence of an enduring bond that binds their past to the tangible moments of the present. You carry forth this narrative of scent and sight, prepared for whatever lies ahead in this path of discovery. As dusk settles over the village and the first stars begin to prick the indigo sky, you find yourself drawn toward the warm glow and muffled sounds emanating from a communal dwelling. The rhythmic cadence of conversation, punctuated by bursts of laughter, beckons you closer. Here, around the simple wooden tables, the social aspect of meals comes alive, revealing not only what peasants ate, but how they shared and savored it. You step inside, feeling the warmth from a crackling hearth embracing you like a well-worn cloak. The soft glow of candles dances on the walls, illuminating the faces of the villagers gathered for the evening meal. This is more than just a time to sate hunger. It is a communal ritual, a daily congregation where stories are spun and bonds are tightened over shared sustenance. The essence of this gathering is not just the food on the table, but the fellowship it fosters. As you weave through the lively throng, you notice the various dishes set upon the table. Hearty stews, fresh bread, perhaps a bit of smoked fish, or newly pickled vegetables from the week's efforts. Each serving dish holds not just nourishment but a slice of the village itself, a testament to the collective effort required to bring each component to maturity. The conversations ebb and flow like a tide, with every voice carrying tales of the day's endeavors, the successes in the fields, the fortunes found in the forest, and the rhythmic predictability of life. Stories from elder to youth are interwoven, with a tenderness born of shared struggles and triumphs, a verbal tapestry rich with experience and wisdom. The atmosphere is ripe with warmth, not just from the hearth, but from the tangible sense of community spirit. It is in these moments that the villagers come together to reaffirm their connection, not only to the land and the food it provides, but to each other. Perhaps the old man at the head of the table has a new story he swears is true, likely involving the gigantic fish that got away, or a comedic misadventure in a neighboring village. Each tale elicits waves of laughter or murmurs of assent, binding the group in shared joviality. One particular narrative catches your attention, humorously chronicling an overzealous goat that found its way into the cabbage patch. The tale, embellished with each telling, is met with groans and chuckles, its absurdity transcending the mundane realities of peasant life. Here, humor is the spice that enlivens even the most threadbare of stories, a gentle sarcasm thrown in like an extra pinch of salt. In this communal revelry, roles blur and hierarchy takes a back seat, as everyone, from the youngest child to the oldest grandparent, gathers around the feast. Food is passed hand to hand, and with each shared bite, a sense of profound equality takes hold. Perhaps historians still argue over the formality of such communal gatherings, but it's undeniable that here, at this table, there exists an egalitarian essence where food is not just nourishment, but the great equalizer. The next course arrives, the proceedings drawn out to stretch the enjoyment. A modest bowl of honeyed apples appears, a simple luxury, though one savored slowly, smiles exchanged between bites. These small indulgences are celebrated moments of sweetness that punctuate the savory weight of the meal, leaving behind a lingering sense of satisfaction long after the last bite is taken. Gradually, the meal draws to an end, the contented hum of conversation softening as candles burn low and eyes grow weary. As you quietly take your leave, stepping into the cool embrace of night, you carry with you the warmth of this shared meal. It's a reminder of the enduring power of communal ties, threaded together through the simple act of eating and sharing stories. Leaving the gathering behind, you continue your journey, the cheerful echo of the villagers' laughter trailing in your wake. These meals, ordinary yet extraordinary, are just another thread in the rich tapestry of peasant life, imbued with flavors familiar and foreign, and steeped in the timeless ritual of gathering and gratitude. As you move gently toward the next chapter, each step resonates with the knowledge that the heart of the peasant diet beats strongest where food and fellowship meet. As the evening deepens, the sounds of the village gradually soften, replaced by the rhythmic chirping of crickets as a new harmony takes over the night. Your path leads you to the communal alehouse, where another vital component of the medieval peasant diet is found: alcoholic beverages, primarily in the form of ale and cider. These drinks are not just indulgences or sources of merriment. They are linchpins in daily hydration and nutrition, Inside the alehouse, the atmosphere is robust, yet relaxed. A gathering of villagers around wooden tables where tankards of ale reflect the dim candlelight. The air is warm and inviting, filled with the chatter of friends and neighbours sharing the day's end. Ale, brewed from barley, oats, or whatever grains are available, is a staple here, its golden brown hue swirling as it's poured into sturdy mugs. Cider, produced from the apples of this temperate land, offers a tangy alternative. You watch as villagers sip their drinks with quiet satisfaction, savouring the complex layers of flavour, a subtle blend of malt, a hint of hops, a whisper of sweetness. These beverages serve dual purposes. They quench thirst when safe drinking water isn't always assured, and they provide a significant caloric boost after a long day of labour. In a world lacking in many food luxuries, ale and cider offer sustenance that food alone can't always provide. The brewing process is an art form in itself, passed down through generations. In the corner, a wizened brewmaster oversees rows of wooden barrels, his hands stained and seasoned with the craft of fermentation. The process is almost alchemical, transforming simple ingredients into something with depth and vitality. As you listen, he explains that the low alcohol content of their brews makes them suitable for daily consumption, unlike the more potent drinks reserved for festive occasions. Discussion around you hints at a world both antique and familiar, where leading brewers experiment with the consistency and flavour of available resources, blending herbs or honey with the grain base for added complexity. Historians still argue about the exact recipe varieties and influence of international brewing techniques that periodically made their way into these local communities. Your lips curl slightly at the thought of today's preoccupation with craft breweries and the boozy bravado that often accompanies them. The villagers' easy humour around their own brewser, simple ale becoming a jovial musace, an incidental resemblance you might chuckle at. These modest concoctions, poured from one hand to another, link lives through the shared pleasure of small sips and long tales. The whispers of an impromptu song trickle through the din. In the alehouse, music and drink are like bread and butter, intertwined and inseparable. A jovial ballad sweeps its way through the room, voices swelling with the story of legendary feats and humorous missteps. Perhaps a jest about a village youth who once imbibed too much and proclaimed himself the king of a nearby garden. So it goes, a story echoing the truth and whimsy in equal parts. These gatherings are part of the social glue that bonds the community, moments where grievances are set aside and unity takes root in shared merriment. The ale and cider, in their gentle effervescence, carry not just taste, but the essence of conviviality, a reminder of why these gatherings matter in the grand scheme of medieval life. And so, you linger amidst this tapestry of ale-fueled camaraderie, watching the smiles and laughter of villagers as they weave their stories and find solace in each other's company. As the evening unfolds, these moments, fueled with good company and warm beverages, become cherished memories that time will embrace and preserve. As the night gently presses onward, you drift back into the quiet coolness, leaving behind the cheerful warmth of the alehouse, but carrying with you a new understanding. In the heart of this medieval village, the simplicity of ale and cider transcends their role as mere drinks offering, instead the gift of connection, sustenance, and shared humanity. These threads bind you further to this timeless narrative, empowering your journey into the world of the medieval peasant life with deep appreciation and a lingering warmth of spirit. The gentle hum of the alehouse still resonating in your mind, you drift back into the labyrinthine alleys of the village, paths illuminated by the soft glow of moonlight. Here, amid the whispers of wind rustling through the thatched roofs, your journey takes a turn toward the influences of trade and travel on the peasant diet. A tale as old as time, the gradual introduction of new flavors and ingredients from distant lands begins to unravel. As you wander, you stumble upon a trading post at the heart of the village, a humble structure yet alive with the spirit of commerce. This place is an epicenter, where goods from afar mingle with local produce, each item telling a story of its own. Here, the quiet ticker of history's clock marks shifts and changes as distant paths converge, shaping the lives of those who might never travel beyond their village borders. Inside, the air crackles with quiet excitement as wares are exchanged. Among simple textiles and handcrafted tools, you find intriguing culinary novelties. These are objects of both admiration and mysterismal sacks of spices, a jar of honey from a southern locale, dried fruits from distant orchards. Each one, simple though it may seem, promises to transform a humble meal by infusing it with a touch of the exotic. It's easy to imagine the thrill such goods would bring to these villagers, whose diets are otherwise dictated by what the land can offer. A sprinkle of pepper, a pinch of saffron, or the warmth of cinnamon. These add a touch of magic and luster, lifting spirits and flavors alike. Watching the interplay of barter and exchange, you feel the pulse of global influence seeping into this small community. As villagers gather to explore these newfound treasures, a light-hearted banter fills the air, bubbling with friendly debates on how to incorporate the latest arrival, say, ginger into their usual repertoire. Some enthusiasts swear by its ability to spice up a soup, while others propose sweetness in cakes or porridge. The aroma promises a glimpse of distant lands, where such flavors grow in abundance, their scents borne on whiffs of trade winds. Historical debates echo through these simple scenes, with scholars trying to piece together the true impact of trade routes before the age of exploration. Was it a trickle of influence, or a river of change that refashioned these medieval tables? The answer lies somewhere between, written in the margins of hearty stews and stories that span generations. Here, your own perspective takes a sideways glance at contemporary trends, where globalization has added kaleidoscopic variety to our plates. Yet, for the medieval peasant, each taste of an imported spice was gently sarcastic an indulgence, both bold and contained, a nod to an unfathomable world beyond the horizon. As you watch the villagers weave these new flavors into their daily rituals, you realize that the fusion of local and foreign speaks not only to culinary evolution, but to the expansion of imagination. It's the blending of tradition and innovation, of homegrown simplicity with the sophistication of the world beyond. As night deepens, you leave the trading post, the scent of spices lingering like a sweet promise. You hum the tune of a ballad overheard or, perhaps imagined, of traders venturing into the unknown, bringing back stories and sachets of wonder. It's a thoughtful journey back through time, twisted whimsically by the question of what medieval comparisons today's imported goods might evoke. Stepping onward through the village, you carry with you a sense of the invisible pathways that connect these people to the broader world. Though small in quantity and slow in travel, these subtleties have left an indelible mark on the peasant palate, an intricate touch that hints at possibilities waiting just beyond the local fields. And so, with a smile and a whisper of cinnamon lingering in the cool night air, you continue on to the next chapter of your quest. Tomorrow promises to unveil more of this world's resourcefulness, creativity, and the perpetual dance between land, distance, and destiny. The stillness of the night evolves into the soft grays of dawn, and as the village stirs awake, you sense a palpable shift in the air. This part of your journey will lead you into the heart of winter, those harsh months when survival depends not on the abundance of the harvest, but on the resourcefulness and foresight of the villagers. In medieval times, surviving winter was a true test, turning food scarcity into a challenge that defined the rhythms of life. As daylight sweeps over the landscape, you find your way to the heart of the village, where a cluster of cottages huddle together against the winter chill. The air is crisp, biting at your skin, and the breath of every villager puffs into clouds as they go about their tasks. Here, within these humble homes, the battle against scarcity unfolds. During these trying months, pantries and storage cellars are the life force of each household, brimming with the summer's painstaking preparations, jar upon jar of pickled vegetables, strings of garlic, and dried meats hung like guardian spirits from timber beams. The fruits of earlier labor now stand as locked potential, waiting to be unlocked meal by meal. For villagers, winter meals revolve around what has been meticulously preserved. A pot of broth simmers gently over the hearth, its bubbling whispers a reminder of preparation, where ingredients from the land around are coaxed into yielding yet another serving of warmth and sustenance. Salting is a familiar practice, and the hint of saline in dried fish or preserved meats adds character to the pervasive monotony of root vegetables. Candles flicker as families gather near, sharing a meal that speaks volumes without the need for extravagance. A slice of heavily crusted bread accompanies a bowl of potagion, ever-changing concoction, crafted from whatever is available. barley and cabbage, perhaps turnips from the root cellar, all thicken the stew into something comforting and sustaining. As you take in the scene, you realize that here, in the simplicity of repetition, lies profound resilience. Conversations over these modest meals often circle back to the lighter days left behind, drawing on memories to fend off winter's severity with an air of optimism. Sometimes, soft notes of a song might escape from these gatherings, reminiscing of spring's pending embrace, or recounting this or that winter when scarcity was most deeply felt. A shared bowl of soup takes on a deeper meaning, embodying survival as nearly an art form. It is here that historians still speculate about the exact mechanisms of winter survival and the collective ingenuity it demanded. Was every villager equipped with sufficient supplies, or did community sharing, empathy, and barter more often come to the fore? The open questions blend with the scenes around you, ideas steeped in conjecture and human spirit. And amid these conversations, remember the light sprinkle of humor, the ability of villagers to poke fun at themselves and the situation. A gentle jest about the ubiquitous cabbage soup might provoke knowing laughter, a wink acknowledging that while they may tire of the repetitiveness, it remains the anchor of their endurance. After all, even adversity can inspire levity when balanced by camaraderie. As you see the village through this season of scarcity, you're moved by their undeterred spirit, a testament to their adaptability and unyielding connection to the cycle of nature. The simple resourcefulness witnessed here is something we might admire, even yearn for, in today's world of easy abundance overshadowed by waste. Stepping back into the bracing outside air, you're reminded that, in these moments of unity against the elements, regional traditions are born, and the legacy of medieval peasants takes deeper root in time. It's a reminder that though landscapes change, the human heart evolves slowly, ever tied to the rhythms of need and creativity. Your journey from this snug vignette begins anew, deeper yet into the ebbs and flows of time, where every step further reveals a world rich in simplicity and resilience, one meal, one story at a time. Here, the echoes of survival resonate in your mind, each clink of cutlery against earthenware, a melody of indomitable fortitude. As the winter landscape stretches onward under a canopy of grey sky, your thoughts turn to an oft-debated topic among historians, the myth of peasant starvation. In the popular narrative, medieval peasants are frequently depicted as living in near-continual hunger, eking out an existence perpetually teetering on the brink of starvation. However, this black-and-white portrayal misses the nuanced reality, one coloured by resilience and adaptability in the face of limited resources. You walk through the narrow lanes where villagers wander, their movements deliberate, each step a calculated dance with survival. The resilient rustle of their clothing echoes the fortitude of their lives. Here, among the wooden homes and the crackling hearths, you delve deeper into the realities of medieval sustenance. The truth is that starvation, while a spectre in every peasant's life, was not the perpetual condition one might imagine. Though food was often scarce, especially in the lean months, peasants developed a wide array of strategies to combat hunger. These hard-working villagers knew the landscape intimately, coaxing sustenance from their environment with creativity and hard work. Their folding and unfolding repertoire of pottage and porridge was more than a monotonous blur. It was a declaration of life's enduring pulse against the backdrop of potential want. Villagers gathered in small clusters, discussing their storehouses, not with desperation, but with calculated precision. When famine struck, it was often collective resilience and ingenuity, rather than mere luck, that saw them through. For instance, community sharing becomes a life-linear bowl of broth or a loaf of bread shared among neighbours, reinforced bonds, and a collective survival mechanism. Tales of cooperation pepper daily life, as families shared what little they had in anticipation of greener seasons. In these discussions lurks a line where historical debates thrive, whether hunger was more of a chronic backdrop or a sporadic crisis. While some reports clearly document devastating famines, others suggest that it was in these dire circumstances that the community's remarkable adaptability shone brightest. Your strides take you past kitchens, where the simple spread of rustic meals belies a lavish feast to those accustomed to scarcity. The artistry of creating flavour in monotony hints at a quiet defiance. Remember the gentle whimsy of describing a hearty scone? Here, A lovingly tended soup crafted from stored roots festoons the table with equal charm, a testament to what resourcefulness can yield. In this context, modern thoughts flicker like distant mirages. Fast-paced lives, teeming with choices, often blind people to the simpler satisfactions found in gradual, purposeful sustenance. Yet here, the deliberate act of utilizing what one has is acknowledged as a narrative of wealth. There are jokes, too. Bubbling beneath the sufficer, shouting match between two mothers becomes a good-natured jest about whose larder boasts the bigger potato. Such levity is vital, a release valve for the day-to-day tension of a life filled with unpredictability. The peasants find respite in humor, even when circumstances grow grim by modern standards. As your exploration winds through these stories and experiences, you gain a new appreciation for their nuanced survival story, not of desperation, but of persistent innovation. It's easy to cast assumptions from afar, but here, amidst the familiar sounds of life's everyday harmonies, you catch glimpses of their indomitable spirit, the pride in victory wrought from the simplest ingredients. Carrying these impressions onward, you leave with a fuller understanding of the peasant life, one marked not by insurmountable hunger, but by daily triumph over adversity. It's a testament to the resilience echoing through time, born from an ability to adapt and evolve against the odds. As the winter sky softens, allowing the first hint of spring's renewal to touch the air, your path beckons you forward to uncover more about how these medieval people balanced vitality with survival. Their story continues to unfold, layers of history overlapping as pilgrimage through this rich tapestry immerses you yet further, chapter by intricate chapter. The chill of winter gives way to the gentle promise of spring, a pivotal transition that brings not only a change in weather, but also a shift in the daily cadence of peasant life. As you traverse the awakening village, it becomes clear that religious influence plays a prominent role in shaping not just the spiritual lives of the villagers, but their eating habits as well. The observance of fasting and feast days is woven intricately into the fabric of life, dictating what, when, and how villagers eat throughout the year. The church stands as a central figure in medieval life, its stone silhouette, a beacon against the brightening sky. Bells toll softly, their sound resonating through the morning air, calling the faithful to congregate. The religious calendar is not merely a backdrop, but a defining framework upon which the rhythm of the peasant diet hangs. Lent, Advent, and other periods of fasting punctuate the cycle of seasons, each requiring a shift in consumption that reflects abstinence and spiritual reflection. As the villagers gather outside the church, exchanging greetings and news, it's clear that their relationship with food is deeply intertwined with their faith. Fasting is both a discipline and a communal activity, respected and adhered to with varying degrees of rigor. During these times, meals are transformed into simpler fare. Meat is often scarce, and meals of bread, porridge, and vegetables dominate their tables. Yet, rather than instilling dread, this period of frugality is accepted with a sense of purpose, a spiritual cleansing that reaches beyond the palate. In whispered conversations, tales of sacrifice mingle with modest humor stories of reluctant abstinence from the roasted meats they crave, replaced by tales of inventive pottages and herb-infused broths that make virtue of necessity. A gleam of mischief shines through some eyes as they share legends of monks brewing ales strong enough to sustain them through Lenten fasts. Historians often debate whether these were fact or fiction, but their charm lingers, breathing life into the fabric of community lore. The periods of fasting lead seamlessly into times of feasting, vibrant celebrations that illustrate the cyclical nature of peasant life. Feast days are heralded by the clang of church bells, and the air thickened with the scent of roasting meats, as the transition from restraint to abundance unfolds in jubilant relief. Villagers embrace these occasions with gusto, tables laden with more sumptuous fare than on ordinary days. Each gathering becomes a jubilant homage to the harvest, to shared faith, and to the harmony that resilience in restraint frequently births. As you navigate this world of alternating scarcity and plenty, your mind drifts to our modern lives, where abundance often blurs the lines between want and excess. A light-hearted thought flits about what might these villagers make of today's trendy fasting diets, with terms like intermittent, more about lifestyle choice than survival. Around the communal tables, the atmosphere is vibrant, the shared anticipation of a feast engendering a palpable sense of community. Plates are passed around along with stories and laughter, while the kaleidoscope of flavors-rich meats and sweet pastries reflects both the luxury of the occasion and the gratitude deeply felt by all. In these moments, the lessons of fasting make the feast all the sweeter. With evening closing in, draping the village in soft shades of twilight, you leave the gathering, your steps accompanied by the echoes of joy and stories shared. The villagers' ability to navigate this dance between abstinence and indulgence is a tapestry of resilience, faith, and community. Your journey continues, guided by the knowledge that the peasant's life is rich with ritual, transformation, and unwavering faith in the rhythm of the land and their beliefs, with lessons drawn from their saunter through simplicity, splendor, and the sacred. There's a path forward into the heart of their sustenance enemies, crossed gently through history, humanity, and hope. As the seasons unfurl their tapestry, the village awakens under the gentle caress of a spring morning. The emergence of fresh green shoots heralds the renewal of life, and in this cycle of growth, young hands play a vital role. Your journey now meanders through the laughter and light-footed hustle of children a generation, burdened with responsibilities but enriched by the simple joys of their roles at mealtime. The role of children in this medieval village is one of tacit importance, ingrained within the daily routines of sustenance and survival. You find them scattered across the landscape like purposeful fireflies. Their giggles punctuate the air as they gather eggs from darting hens and pluck sprigs of aromatic herbs from family gardens. Each task becomes a rite of passage, imbued with learning and life skills cultivated from the soil of necessity. In small groups, they venture into the neighboring woods with baskets in hand. Here on the forest floor, their keen eyes seek out promising tufts of edible greens and treasures of wild berries peeking through woodland cover. The gleam on their cheeks, part achievement and part fresh morning dew, speaks to their success. Each item they gather becomes a cherished component of the family mealer thread in the broader pattern of provision. With their spoils in hand, the return home is triumphant. Under the watchful gaze of their elders, children are welcomed into the folds of meal preparation, peeling, stirring, and learning the dance of kitchen rituals. As you observe, laughter and light-hearted admonishments provide the rhythm, the atmosphere punctuated with the clinking of wooden spoons. There's an easy camaraderie here, a blend of camaraderie and duty, that forms the backbone of family bonding. Their small contributions are celebrated within the home, each proud child reminded of their essential role in the family tapestry. As they grow accustomed to the meticulous grind of meal-making, they absorb not only the techniques, but also the philosophy. Meals stand not as solitary efforts, but as collaborative, meaningful expressions of love and survival. You catch snippets of gentle teasing from elders' jokes about the greenest cabbage or the wisest chicken, a buoyancy balancing lessons of resourcefulness. Historians still wonder whether this division of tasks was equitable or enforced. As you watch young hands at work, it's clear that learning and laughter twine to form enduring frameworks for shared joy. Those tasks, while labor, also play, rendered into the kind of work that roots dignity in daily life. As meals come together, the children's touch is seen and appreciated. In the soft glow of candlelight, a humble shift in identity begins. For here, among simple bowls of stew and sturdy slices of bread, they witness firsthand the fruits of their labor. It's an invisible inheritance of understanding, a knowing, inside, of what food means. Your wandering thoughts juxtapose this world of earnest collaboration with ours, where convenience tends to encroach, often at the expense of connection. Amid fast meals and endless distractions, the charm of hand-in-hand learning becomes something enviable. At twilight's tender hour, families gather for supper as the children present their contributions with shy pride. Tonight's feast, though modest, feels bountiful to them, laughter and conversation meshing with the clatter of bowls and spoons. You see the wide-eyed wonder of each child as they partake in the fruits of shared endeavor. As you leave this warm enclave and step into the whispering dusk, the role of a child in mealtimes lingers with you, a harmonious counterpoint to the toil and complexity of a world driven by need and nature. The legacy passed down is more than recipes or practices. It's the production of care, binding hearts, and strengthening the resolve to nourish both body and spirit. Your journey continues through a village where the simple act of creating a meal sows seeds of deeper purpose and learning. This peasant life, imbued with innocence and diligence, stretches forth to meet a day of growth and discovery, where each child learns that their touch enriches the broader canvas, adding brushstrokes of hope to a panorama of persistence. With each step, you carry their silent promise, a rhythm of life that flows onward, intertwined with love's quiet reverence. In the brightening spring of the medieval village, the air hums with renewal, a perfect moment to delve into how peasant recipes have evolved over time, morphing alongside the very society they sustain. As you traverse the meandering paths between cottage and field, you are led to the heart and heat of open hearths, where the culinary ingenuity of the villagers lays the groundwork for both tradition and transformation. One would think the simple recipes of medieval peasant porridge, breads, and stews are fixed, unchanging as the very stones at your feet. Yet, hidden in the warmth of hearth fire and flickering shadows, lies a dynamic evolution of peasant cuisine. Inspired by necessity, influenced by the slow trickle of trade, and enriched by cultural exchange, these rudimentary dishes begin to tell a storied tale of adaptation. Your arrival at a bustling cottage kitchen nexus of activity and heart brings you face to face with dishes both familiar and freshly imagined. Here, a matron busily transforms simple grains into a warming porridge, her hands deftly mixing oats with handfuls of dried apples, a recent arrival in the array of available ingredients. Over a low flame, she adds a touch of honey, a prized sweetness that bridges sustenance and satisfaction, infusing the pot with a scent that speaks to the march of both time and tradition. As the kitchen fills with the aroma of fruits mingling in the porridge, tales of ingenuity weave themselves into the very atmosphere. Recipes, once constrained, unfold into new directions as trade routes broaden, and experiments in flavor combine the comforts of the past with the promise of untried futures. Peasants were not static in their culinary efforts. Faced with an ever-changing availability of ingredients, be they from nature, neighbor, or passing merchants, each dish becomes a canvas for creativity. The village bullies may jest about a turnip surprise in a stew, but in reality, evolving recipes allow peasants an avenue through which to explore new flavors and techniques. Historians, you note, continue to piece together this slow culinary evolution, mapping out how recipes mirrored societal shifts, no matter how subtle. Did neighboring villages inspire new flavor combinations through shared recipes at fairs and market days? Were sleepless nights spent weaving foreign trinkets into the fabric of culinary tradition? Or were these transformations quietly consulted through trial, error, and whispered advice over garden gates? Your thoughts drift to modern tastemasters, sprucing up old-world dishes with inventive flair, those bastions of gastroarchaeology eager to reclaim and reinvent, to serve the rustic as gourmet. Yet here, the gentler reality rests, evolution rooted in essence, keeping step with necessity rather than novelty. As you observe, the stew in the great pot begins to bubble, alchemizing time-honored combinations of beans, root vegetables, and herbs grown just outside the door. This cauldron of goodness reveals another layer of peasant adaptability, their ingrained ability to cultivate vibrancy from simplicity, resilience from routine. Around the table, the anticipation for these modest feasts paints each face with expectation. The children lean attentively, their eagerness to fill their bellies somehow interwoven with the ancestral whispers that hum along the wooden beams of this humble home. It's in these seemingly ordinary meals of long-standing history and just a touch new that identity forms and reforms itself, each mouthful an affirmation of place and purpose. You step away from the glow of the hearth, capturing the essence of this peaceful metamorphosis. In this evolving culinary narrative, you see a reflection of the strength and adaptability that underline peasant life. Each meal, rich with ingredients past and innovations present, is a testament to their enduring spirit and creativity. As you move forward along the village path, you sense that every scent rising from kitchens marks not just daily sustenance, but a sacred continuity of life, a story written as much in the present as in the annals of centuries past. Through tastes, textures, and tales, these medieval peasants affirm their place in the world, crafting a culinary legacy that resonates deeply, long past the crackling fire or fading twilight. Their food, like their lives, adapts with resilience and grace, a truly nourishing journey. With the village awash in the warm golden light of afternoon, your steps take you to an open field on the outskirts, where the vibrant sounds and sights of a medieval festival spring to life. Here, the air buzzes with pure anticipation and delight, alive with the unique cadence of festivity, a rare reprieve from the daily grind of peasant life. This is a time when the austere routines built around necessity fall away, replaced by the joyful indulgence of festival foods and communal celebration. Children dart excitedly past you, their laughter trailing behind like the bright tails of kites as they flit from stall to stall. In the distance, musicians play merrily, filling the air with lilting melodies that dance around the rhythmic thudding of feet on grassy earth. The atmosphere is festive, buoyant, a tapestry of color and sound against the backdrop of a temperate sky. Festivals are more than mere celebrations. They are cultural touchstones, weaving together food, fellowship, and tradition into days of shared memories. As you wander through the bustling lanes of the festival, your senses are immediately captivated by the rich aromas floating from a multitude of stalls. Here, foods that are typically rare and precious are offered freely, in abundance, true celebration of the labors of harvest and the bounty of the land. Roasted meats sizzle on spits, their crackling skins basted with every turning, releasing tantalizing scents that beckon all who pass near. The once rare sight of meat transforms into a centerpiece, a nod to prosperity that accompanies festivities. Adjacent, tables groan under the weight of baked goods, their golden crusts encasing spiced fillings of fruit and custard. It's here that skilled hands craft pastries and pies filled with ingredients both familiar and novel, perhaps supplemented with a touch of cinnamon slipped surreptitiously from distant lands to delight the curious palate. As cellar doors swing open, you witness the happy rush for ale and cider. These festive brews concocted with extra care to lift spirits even higher. Historians often point to these festivals as arenas for social negotiation, a way to reaffirm ties, settle disputes with laughter, and sometimes indulge just a little too much. It's almost serendipitous to think that today's food festivals, bustling with foie gras, corn dogs, and chocolate-dipped bacon, are distant cousins of these vibrant gatherings. One festival highlight captivates the youth: the sweet stall, a bustling hive of activity where honeyed treats and candied nuts are turned over in endless supply. You smile, watching children with sticky fingers and wide eyes, caught in blissful reverie over the sugary trifles they clutch close. For these children, who are well acquainted with simplicity, a sweetened morsel is as rare as a midsummer snow beyond a mere indulgence. It's a transcendental delectation. Nearby, performances enchant the throng actors, entertaining with comedic retellings of heroic sagas, where dragons and knights face off in battles, as much of wits as of swordplay. The air is filled with joyous celebration, each story and each piece of theatre an essential part of the tapestry of village culture woven together. These tales offer continuity and community identity. As the sun traces its descent, casting long golden shadows that stretch across lively fields, the festival reaches its zenith. Musicians tune their instruments for one last melody, and dancers step lively, moving gracefully to tunes that capture both heart and history. Above all, the festival is a gift that transcends the material cherished pause, allowing hearts to lift and spirits to soar. Amidst this rural jubilee, laughter is buoyant, and the food-rich mosaic of abundance takes on a dimension all its own. These celebrations, woven with taste and texture, remain a testament to resilience and unity, a communal embrace that stretches towards something greater than the sum of its parts. Smiling, you take a moment to savor the magic of what is both familiar and fleeting. As the festival's gentle disbandment unfolds, leaving behind memories and smiles, you feel enriched by this moment of shared joy, connected with a legacy of gratitude and festive abundance. The path forward holds new stories and meals to explore as you quietly retreat, reflecting that through each feast and festival, the peasant's life is one deeply rooted in both the simplicity of survival and the complex beauty of shared celebration. As festivals come and go with the seasons, they are more than the sum of their parts each, in its way, a harmonious blending of the physical, communal, and transcendental. Each a chapter in this world's generous tapestry. The echoes of the festival linger in your mind as you walk along a quiet path, the air still carrying a faint trace of celebratory fires and the laughter of shared stories. Yet, as history has shown time and again, peace is fragile, and even the hard-earned bounty of festival days can be undermined by forces beyond any villager's control. This part of your journey leads you into the shadowy influence of war on the medieval peasant dieta. Stark reminder that conflict reshapes lives in countless, often unforeseen, ways. As you wander past fields readying for spring's renewal, you're met with the somber understanding of how wars, both near and far, cast long shadows over pastoral serenity. The fields, usually a stage for growth and harvest, become imbued with uncertainty. War disrupts the very fabric of peasant life, altering the availability of labor, resources, and, inevitably, the contents of larders. In times of conflict, fields risk ravage, and crops are often commandeered by passing armies, leaving villagers vulnerable to scarcity. Alongside the visible scars left upon the land, war introduces an element of unpredictability to the growing season. You can almost hear the murmur of villagers as they gather, their voices laced with anxiety, sharing news of approaching forces or tales of territories caught in the tumult of battle. Even without a direct hit, the ripple effects carry through grain, meat supplies, and the hidden stores upon which survival depends. Amidst these tensions, ingenuity becomes the peasant's ally. With traditional food supplies threatened, foraged foods become increasingly important, lending new emphasis to the wisdom of nature's less conspicuous offerings. Berries, nuts, and roots that seasoned gatherers pluck from forgotten corners of the forest edge gain value beyond their weight in gold, filling gaps left by interrupted harvests. Inside kitchens, the warmth of the hearth becomes the difference between resilience and despair. Meals are repurposed into sustaining sometimes repetitive staples. Leftover grains or withered vegetables simmer slowly, extended in broths to extract every drop of nourishment, leaving nothing to waste. It's in these calculated preparations, rather than rich stews or robust roasts, that comfort is found. Historians debate the broader impact of warfare across medieval Europe, wondering whether the marginal change to peasant diets led to gradual shifts in culinary traditions or cemented them more deeply in necessity. Delve into these hypothetical discussions, and you see that while precise outcomes vary, the lessons of survival are as universal as they are enduring. Once in a while, gentle humor glimmers amid such somber realities. Those villagers with an eye for irony might jest about the strength of a stew made from seemingly victorious pebbles, a cheeky nod to the resourcefulness required during these taxing times. Your wry smile gives way to reflection about modern parallels, when scarcity during crises pulls communities closer together, revealing a shared humanity in the face of hardship. You meander through the village, acknowledging how adaptability to wartime scarcity honed a communal spirit there. Peasant families band together more tightly, sharing resources, stories, and even meals as they await news or the welcome return of peace. In the quiet corners of homes, wisdom is passed down, enriching the tapestry of heritage through whispered recipes and time-worn techniques. An outsider might view these quiet, determined efforts to feed and fortify as an unsung heroism. It is not the grand triumph of battles won, but rather the steady, relentless march of survival against the backdrop of overwhelming conflict. Your mindful steps carry forward the understanding that this adroit balance between war's chaos and nature's abundance is an enduring testament to human resilience. As you continue, leaving behind the hush of new-sprouted fields and the murmur of anxious village meetings, you carry the insight that while war can unsettle the ground beneath their feet, it also reaffirms the power of shared bonds and unyielding spirit through food, fellowship, and fortitude. And so your path takes you onward, through these vistas of perseverance, guiding you toward those parts of life that, amidst adversity, rewrite the shared tale of sustenance and survival. For in every hardship rests the kernel of renewal, and in each struggle dwells the seed of resilience. As wars loom and then fade, they are forever interwoven into the steady rhythm of the peasant diet, enduring, unflinching, and, most profoundly, human. As you continue your exploration through the village, the landscape is dotted with tidy plots of land, each a testament to the complex relationship between peasants and the land they toil. It is here that the influence of landlords and tithes comes into profound focus, shaping what peasants grow, what they eat, and what they must surrender, a silent negotiation that threads through every aspect of their sustenance. The land upon which you tread is both home and livelihood, yet it is not truly owned by those who work it. This medieval hierarchy dictates that the majority of peasants are tenant farmers, tilling fields owned by lords or ecclesiastical entities, their labour locked in the embracing arms of feudal obligations. You walk the perimeters of fields where wearied hands and backs devote themselves to the tilling and sowing of crops. Here, the rhythm of seasons is mirrored in the rhythm of duty and dues. The yield of crops barley, oats, and wheat is more than sustenance for the peasants themselves. It is a binding contract with the powerful landlords, a portion already promised from the moment of its sowing. In every hedge-lined plot, industrious peasants coax life from the soil, aware that their harvest will be divided. Tithes to the church, portions to the landlord, the remnants meant to sustain their own family through both bounty and barrenness. This intricate web of obligation and expectation guides their livelihoods, whispering of power held elsewhere. Despite these constraints, the fields reveal clever interplays of crop rotation and soil enrichment. Over time, peasants become adept at maximizing yield from limited space, pulling strength from the earth in ways that lend resilience to the constraints of their circumstances. Some plots shimmer with the color of blooming legumes, a tactic both to enrich the soil and action the results of modest choice. Inside the village, you hear conversations laced with the camaraderie of shared circumstance, an occasional rumor of a fair-minded lord or benevolent cleric who forgives tithes in lean years. Such tales sit dreamlike beside the present reality of having to render a fattened duck or a measure of grain on feast days. Historians still debate whether these systems of tenancy stifled innovation or inadvertently encouraged a tenacious spirit of enterprise, threading slow transformation through the warp and weft of feudal society. As you reflect on this, you speculate about the complex dynamics of control, how restrictions molded practicality, how oversight nurtured resilience. Light-hearted humor navigates these channels as well, with villagers jesting about the expected grandeur of their 8th or 10th bushel filled with wishes instead of wheat. The gentle sarcasm of such comments highlights a deft humor that cuts through servitude's tension. This ongoing interplay between peasant and power is as much about unwritten customs as it is about tangible harvests. Even their modest garden-small enclosed sanctuaries filled with herbs and vines reflect a delicate balance between necessity and allegiance, a narrative whispered in the rustle of every leafy canopy. As you walk, you consider how today's tribute is paid, if not in grain, then in taxation or societal expectation. The feudal system, though outwardly absent in our modern lives, echoes in countless ways. You pass by garden plots, seeing there a resolute blend of flower and function in each, asserting the peasant's quiet right to create beauty amid expectation. With dusk bleeding into the horizon, you retrace your steps, leading onwards. The path winds through plotted fields, where human resilience and ingenuity ripple in myriad ways, reinforced by dignity and quiet rebellion. By feeding their own as well as others, peasants contribute not just to their community's continuation, but to a broader story of survival. As night falls, you carry insights from the lived experiences forged here, acknowledging that these landscapes are mirrors of both dependency and independence, fields of shared purpose, collective labor, and the enduring spirit that guides the peasant diet through tides of command and kinship. The earth holds their stories, silently cradling the resolve that forms life's backbone through ongoing cycles and shared destinies. And into this tapestry of land and labor, your journey continues a tribute to the complexity and courage of the medieval peasant. Within the peaceful confines of the village, where daily rhythms blend into a chorus of toil and respite, you enter homes and hearths where an often overlooked aspect of peasant life comes to light: the significant role of women as culinary innovators. Their hands shape the flavors of the time, turning bare essentials into meals infused with care, creativity, and subtle subversions of traditional constraints. The heart of every peasant home lies in the kitchen, a bustling hub of warmth and vitality, where women wield wisdom passed from mother to daughter, shaping each meal with a deft touch. They are skilled caretakers of fermentation, kneading dough with seasoned expertise, brewing stocks that speak of centuries' worth of adaptation. Whether plucking herbs from the garden or bringing wild greens into the fold, their resourceful integration enriches the medieval diet. Today, you find a gathering of women at work, sleeves rolled high as they transform simple ingredients with artistry. Their conversation flows easily, a blend of instruction, anecdote, and gentle banter that enlivens the kitchen like a rich concoction. Here, the scene comes to life with the preparation of a humble pottage, a versatile dish that reflects their resourceful spirit. The women choose ingredients from an array of options: carrots, turnips, leeks, each chosen based on availability and occasional whim. Today's pot also boasts a handful of wild mushrooms, foraged by their eager children, adding a hint of earthiness to the meal. They discuss methods not only for brewing this communal favorite, but for infusing it with layers of flavor that turn simplicity into luxury. Over the steady simmering of the pot comes the undeniable scent of garlic, herbs, and spices, wafting through the room in a bouquet of sensory delight. Their innovation shows here a shake of peppercorn, a dribble of honey, a nod to what little trade can offer, delicately revamping traditional recipes. In the world beyond these walls, historians debate the extent to which such homebound ingenuity impacted broader culinary practices. Did these women, through their quiet innovations, inspire changes that wended their way across neighboring villages and beyond? You suspect this trail of creativity can certainly inspire marvel at how small transformations influence larger tides. The modern mind might find echoes of these experiments in today's kitchens, where fusion cuisine abounds and chefs blend diverse traditions. Yet in this medieval village, such blending arises from necessity, acting not as culinary bravado, but as vibrant testament to determination and survival. There's humor here too, as bright anecdotes lift spirits. One matron shares the tale of her failing to charm a rabbit towards the stew pot, spinning it into a comedic escapade that leaves her audience chuckling, eyes sparkling with shared amusement. Such tales lighten the labor, their shared laughter blending with the perfume of their communal creation. You perceive this circle of women not only as stewards of sustenance, but celebrants of life's vast palette. The transformation they enact from harvest to meal denies them neither individuality nor expression. Rather, they embed their artistry into the everyday rhythms, encouraging a collective resilience reflected in each shared meal. As you watch, something profound emerges within the whirl of preparation. The realization that women's culinary practices anchor families and cultivate legacies. They navigate tradition and creativity with a balance that defies expectation, quietly steering the future course of communal resilience. Before your departure, you bask momentarily in the affectionate ambiance forged from laughter, courage, and shared wisdom. The vibrant exchange continues in your absence, a constant hum of legacy among the carved wooden tables and pots brimming with nourishment slowly simmering. With your senses awakened to the tales of transformation, your steps lead outward into the lingering light of early evening. The insights gathered here illustrate that even within confines, creativity finds form. These kitchen hearths, awash with ingenuity and warmth, offer lessons that reverberate through timely celebration, not just of sustenance, but of the profound evolution that women foster through their skilled, spirited hands. Your journey proceeds, ever eager to uncover the palpable strength and vibrant legacy that thread through these remarkable lives. Their stories breathe in each wafting scent, every morsel savored with reverence, a timeless testament to innovation, empowerment, and the enduring pulse of human spirit. Embraced by the soft glow of twilight, your path now leads you to the quiet spaces where nature's subtle power thrives, a testament to the dual purpose that medieval peasants imbued into the plants around them. It is here that you uncover the realm of herbal remedies and health-boosting concoctions, a layer of their culinary world where food and medicine intertwine intricately to nourish both body and soul. In the modest garden patches that fringe each dwelling, peasant households cultivate not just vegetables for sustenance, but a variety of herbs known for their curative properties. These humble plots, vibrant with life, serve as vital pharmacies, offering relief from ailments that rural life naturally brings. The air is thick with the scents of rosemary, sage, and lavender, each leaf and petal imprinted with ancient knowledge gathered over time. As you meander through this herbal haven, you observe a wise woman bent to her work, her deft hands moving with practiced ease as she gathers sprigs of fragrant hyssop and soothing chamomile. Her weathered face tells tales of wisdom earned across seasons, a living link in an unbroken chain of knowledge. Her basket, brimming with green abundance, is an emblem of the peasant's profound symbiotic relationship with the land. Conversation with her opens a window into this world of natural remedies, where simple meals double as medicinal balms. Garlic is prized not just for its ability to flavor stews, but for its purported fortitude against sickness. A hint of mint finds its way into teas, its brisk aroma clearing both senses and spirits. Each concoction gently advises the body toward balance, respecting nature's innate healing gifts. Beyond the gardens, villagers wander meadows and woodland edges, eyes keen for promising finds. Each harvest blends the mundane with the miraculous, where dandelions turn bitter notes into digestive tonics and elderflowers become elixirs against winter's chill. These plants, each one a quiet benefactor, hold secrets that bridge the gap between culinary craft and medicinal necessity. Innate wisdom tempers enthusiasm with caution, for the natural world teems with paradoxical hazards. Mushroom lore is exchanged in hushed tones, eyes averted with reverencia. Scholarly debate persists among historians about how peasants discriminated efficacious from perilous. You imagine trial and error, but ultimately, it's the whispers of ancestral guidance that steer them toward understanding. Here, the humor is gentle, but present a playful jest about brewing potions to render better thoughts, captures the light-hearted aspect of everyday challenges. Even in the harshest times, these small, knowing smiles attest to the peace and fortitude found within nature's remedies. Your passage through this realm evokes reflections on the ancient wisdom that often goes unnoticed in a world bustling with synthetic solutions. The convergence of flavors and healing presents a profound understanding of nourishment of, not merely consuming, but of nurturing wholeness. As the garden's twilight hues deepen and your time amidst luxuriant greenery draws to a close, you gather the realization that these plants, each leaf and bloom, offer the heritage of life-sustaining harmony. It's a world where taste and healing unite, rendered with profound simplicity that speaks not just to survival, but to a quiet flourishing. Carrying forward sensory memories of mint and thyme, your journey continues. Each step is attuned to the understanding that peasant life is sculpted not just by what is eaten, but by a broader, holistic tapestry of how nourishment and healing wend themselves through seasons and souls. You stride purposefully into the evening, illuminated by the wisdom of countless herbs at your back, each a light guiding the way toward the enduring bond between land, life, and legacy. Your path is alive with insights, footsteps moving towards stories that weave the narrative of human tenacity, compassion, and grace. As the calm of the night enfolds you, you're drawn into the lingering glow of conversation where myths and legends whisper through the air. In the rural quiet of the medieval village, the portrayal of the peasant's diet in popular imagination often diverges fancifully from reality, tinted by tales as colorful as the twilight sky. It's here that you delve into perceptions of peasant food in myth and legend, revealing how these narratives have shaped, and sometimes distorted, our understanding of their lives. You find yourself amidst a gathering near the village green, where an elder recounts stories as old as the hills themselves, painting vivid pictures with each word. The villagers are enraptured, wrapped tightly in blankets against the cool air, as the elder's voice weaves from fact to folklore, threading through the fabric of what was and what could have been. The stories told are rich with metaphor, where scarcity and feasting intermingle with fairies, knights, and improbable banquets. The myths often portray peasant meals as joyless, little more than gruel, or as comically humbly a hodgepodge of rough grains and leathery roots. Yet, among the storied embellishments, there lies a kernel of truth. The persistence of these images speaks to a broader cultural belief, shaped by the delicate balance of survival, hardship, and celebration. As the elder spins tales, they recount the legendary feast of an ancient kingdom where peasants dined alongside nobility, each bringing the most modest of offerings there. The tiny turnip was as highly esteemed as the roasted boar. In such tales, the boundaries between social strata dissolve, showing not only a fantastical wish fulfillment, but also an enduring egalitarianism, asleep beneath the surface of medieval reality. Historians still argue about these depictions, scrutinizing whether they serve as critique or celebration. They ponder whether the imagined peasantry was a device used to contrast simplicity with opulence, or to comment on the relentless monotony that sometimes cloaked real-life subsistence. You nod at the recollection of modern times, where romanticized depictions of scarcity often find their way into nostalgic narratives. But it puzzles you, given how life for peasants was an act of grace, as much as necessity a narrative seldom captured in these spins of legend. The light-hearted vein of sarcasm dances effortlessly through the tales, with characters breaking into anachronistic song or finding fantastical means to spice their stews. Such nimble whimsy lifts spirits, a welcome contrast to the often sobering landscape of reality. Yet here, you observe the myths serving a vital function, illuminating societal values and shared dreams while highlighting resilience and community. They are windows into a collective psyche where hope, humor, and humanity wove their magic into everyday existence through the alchemy of story. As the elder concludes with a flourish, the assembled villagers murmur appreciatively, returning to their homes with nodding satisfaction and warm spirits, each carrying their imaginings aloft like flickering lanterns. Ambling away from this gathering, you appreciate how these tales, infused with both insight and imagination, breathe life into static history. They reveal that beneath medieval surfaces lies a complex stew blend of straightforward facts and embellished narratives that shimmer with the vibrancy of shared culture. Continuing your journey through fields brushed with starlight, you realize how these treasured myths and generations, old narratives bring texture and color to the peasant experience. They stand as reminders that while truth may branch in myriad ways, at its heart, the dance between reality and legend inspires both reflection and awe for the resilience and artistry of human hearts. As your steps continue away from these fireside reflections, they carry forward a mingling of truths and fancies, each a stroke upon the vast canvas of shared humanity, a celebration, after all, of a life enriched by storytelling. You move forward, immersed in a tale that, at every turn, embraces wonder, resilience, and simplicity, winding gently towards truths yet to be uncovered under stars with stories all their own. As the night deepens, a tranquil hush envelops the landscape, and a gentle realization settles in your journey. Through the medieval peasant diet has traced a path from the simplicity of porridge to the elaborate myths that surround their sustenance. Now, it's time to reflect on the legacy left by these enduring dietary practices and how they continue to echo into the present, shaping modern cuisine and grounding us in a shared past. Stepping away from the village's soft glow, the sky opens wide above you, a tapestry of stars twinkling with ancient wisdom. You find a spot to pause and contemplate, letting the cool earth cradle you as you look back upon all you've uncovered. Through the sway of time, the peasant diet reflects a union of necessity and creativity, a rhythm dictated by the land and the seasons, yet always adapted through sheer resilience and ingenuity. It's a story written not just in bread and brew, but in the enduring spirit that transforms scarcity into sustenance. This tale of survival has left an indelible mark on culinary traditions worldwide. Modern culinary practices still bear the imprint of these bygone days. The humble porridge finds its upscale reimagining in today's restaurants. Heirloom vegetables, once staples of the peasant plot, now feature prominently in gourmet markets. The simple rituals of foraging, fermentation, and preservation have turned full circle, embraced as the tenets of mindful eating in contemporary times. Amidst the blend of nostalgia and recreation, humanity seeks comfort in these roots, whether by savoring a rustic loaf of sourdough, reminiscent of communal ovens, or through the pickling jars lining kitchen shelves. These practices rekindle a connection to both earth and heritage, whispering the assertion that despite modern advances, there is quiet strength in simplicity. As your gaze shifts from the stars to the village, historians' debates linger in your thoughts, reflecting on whether the lessons of medieval restraint offer wisdom in today's age of abundance. This eternal dance between past and present speaks to the unending cycle of adaptation, where each loop binds us closer to our shared history. The gentle embrace of night softens the world around you, inviting a slowing of the mind and a deepening sense of peace. Recall the humor found in necessity, the shared meals that nourished both body and soul, and the tales that painted vibrant brushstrokes upon time's canvas. Here, you are reminded that the legacy of the medieval peasant diet rests not only in the food itself, but in the spirit of community and continuity. As your journey through this quaint, storied village reaches a close, allow the quiet resonance of these experiences to guide you toward rest, a lullaby spun from the words and wisdom of shared human experience. The wind rustles softly in the trees, a whispered promise of renewal as you gently rise, taking one last look back. The road stretches before you, leading away from a place rooted in the simplicity and profundity of life sustained with care. With each step forward, feel the weight of history, not as a burden, but as a comforting shawl woven from time itself, whispering calls to be gentle, to listen, and to savor. Now, allow these thoughts to cradle your journey onward. Let the gentle whispers of past and present soothe you into the gentle embrace of sleep, wrapping you warmly in the shared journey of humanity. And, as your eyes grow heavy, may the peace that comes with understanding carry you gently into the realm of dreams. Sweet dreams.